Hi, this is the Pentair. It's called the Dominator. It's a pool sweeper, and what it does is it sits in the deep end and it goes to the corner, turns like maybe half a turn, and then it goes a little bit outwards, turns again and goes back into that same corner. And all it does is it makes circles. So all it's doing is cleaning almost a triangle with a width of 1 meter. So it's become pretty useless. Now I suspect this has got a fault, and I'm going to show you how I solve this problem. So I'm just going to open it up here, take that off, and if you have a look inside, you can see that this is the driver. Because of the suction, this is driving all these gears. Where I'm seeing a problem is there's some splines which are aligned to the rim. Now, if you have a look closely, I'm going to turn this. If you have a look closely over there, you can see that this rim can move without those splines aligning with these teeth. So what's happening here is this seems to have too much free play. Now, yes, you can go and buy a new one of these, and I did, and it hasn't made any difference. So in this repair, I'm going to show you firstly how to change this if this is only your problem, but also really how to fix this, because changing this does not solve the problem. And I'm not that impressed that this costs 5% of the entire cost of this unit. So what is happening here is this is not being pressed far enough into the outer teeth here, because if you have a look there, can you see that there's a little bit of travel that still needs to happen. So as you can see, as this turns, there are two wheels here. There's a wheel in there and there's a bigger wheel, and you can see that it's got different platforms. So as it goes onto the lower platform, the splines here, this shaft is supposed to shift onto the inner rim teeth, and when it goes to the higher platform, it's supposed to go to the outer rim teeth. Right, so I'll just show it to you and then I'll show you how I repaired this. And you can see, look at that, this is now useless. And there is a time where the wheel doesn't move. It's when it hops from the top platform to the bottom platform. And that currently is not the case, because you can see that that wheel and that platform are still engaged. So this should still be tight, but as you can see, look at that. So now it's going to hop onto the bottom platform, and I'll just show you what it does. You can see now it's changing direction. And this is fine. There you can see this is fine. It's spring loaded, so the springs are pushing this plastic part, and I'll show it to you when I open it that way. And these splines are now mating with these splines, and it's working perfectly in that section. As you can see, look, it's tight. So when it climbs onto this raised platform, that's when the fault occurs. Look. So it's now lifted this shaft onto the outer rim teeth, but look at that, useless. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to fix this. What you need to do is you'll need to remove this wheel here. So here's the Allen key. I'm just going to remove it. And just while we're here, the other problem is this. If you have a look at this wheel, look at that free play. And the screw here is still tight. All right, so that's what comes out there. There comes the wheel. Right, so I'm going to show you how to remove this. Can you see that this thing has the ability to shift? And what is happening there is you can see there's the two platforms I'm talking about. And as we turn this, you can see that this shifts forward, and when it shifts forward, it is now mating with the inner rim. And then when the platform is raised, can you see that shifts back because it's spring loaded? There's two springs here that push this back. So the faults are as follows. The first one is, I suspect either this wheel or this platform has lowered, worn out a bit. Now, while this wheel has worn a bit, and I will show it to you, I don't think you should work with this wheel in trying to repair this wheel. And I'll show you why I don't think you should try and fix that wheel. I'm going to take this out. When you take it out, just cover it because the springs might shoot out. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing the shaft out and grabbing here at the same time. And there come the two springs. And as you can see, this just pops out like that now. Now this wheel has worn a bit. I inspected it and I can see it's got a bit of an uneven surface. But what you might think is to just build this wheel up. Maybe take some Q-bond or something like that and build up this wheel. Now why that won't work is because inside there's something that will block it. Because if you make this wheel too thick, it won't turn, because if I had to draw what's inside there, it's like there is a plastic going around there and it stops a fatter wheel from turning. Right, if you do want to open this, I'll just show you what to do. You're going to take a flat screwdriver and just wedge it between the openings there. Now this is not part of the repair. I'm just opening this so you can see what's inside. I really don't recommend you doing anything with this thing, and I'll show you why in a second. And you can already see that the tolerance between the roller and the post is quite narrow. So if you build this wheel up, all that's going to happen is it's going to get jammed on that post over there. So you don't have to do anything here. You can just close this. I just opened it just to show you. Now you can buy a kit. It comes with this. It comes with a drive shaft and it comes with this cam, and I think it comes with some of these gears. Now where the problem is, in my opinion, is just this cam has gotten worn down. Because it's gotten worn down, it doesn't push this drive shaft far back enough. I think they call this a cam gear, and you can buy this and it's not very expensive. So the easiest option is to just go out and buy one of these, but I'm going to show you how to repair it just in case you can't get one of these. Right, now to remove this cam, it's quite simple. You have to remove the other wheel. So I'm going to remove the other wheel. Same size Allen key, 5mm. And then you just unscrew the screw, and then you just push the pin in, and there comes the gear with the cam. So you can go and buy one of these, and I suppose that's the easiest solution, but I'm just going to show you what I did because I didn't feel like taking a drive to their warehouse. If you look at mine, you can see that there's been modifications here. And what I did is I built it up using Q-bond and super glue. Now this worked very well, and it's been weeks and weeks. The only thing is that bonding the Q-bond onto this cam is a little bit tricky because this plastic is too smooth. If you are going to be building this up using the Q-bond option, just make sure you roughen up the surface here, because the Q-bond needs to bond to a rough surface. So I'm just going to demonstrate what I did here. As you can see, this is quite wide and it's got a bit of an extra lip there and there. So all I did is I took my soldering iron and I heated it up, and then took that extra plastic and just leaned it into the front, and you'll see what I do with it now. Right, so I've now flattened that, and I do the other side in the same manner. And you can see the plastic residue that is now sitting on the top there. So all I'm doing is I'm heating it up and sliding the soldering iron to move the plastic towards the platform, the top of the cam. My soldering iron is set to 330 degrees. Right, so that's what it looks like. It's a bit of a mess, but now it's time to flatten that and smooth it out. Right, so you can see what I've done. I've taken the extra plastic from the side and created a platform on top. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm just evening it out. You don't want it to be low, high, so I'm just making sure that it's even. And now just file it so that it's flat. Right, so having a look at the worn side, 3.7, and over there, 3.76. Now the plastic welding, you can see there's 5.3 over there, 5.26 over there, 5.25. So try and make it as even as possible. Right, so there you can see what it looks like when it's done. And because it is plastic welded, even if I knock it, it won't break. It's now fused, it's melted to the original cam, and now I can put this back. So you would have to repeat that several times. There you can see I've done it over here, I've done it over here, and I'll just show you what it looks like once it's installed. If you'd like to change this drive shaft, this is a good time to change it. It's not mandatory. Right, so here is the old drive shaft and here's the new one. I'll just show you the teeth so you can compare. And if you have a look at this old one and you have a look at the new one, you can see that the splines here are very worn out. What's happened is they've become very thin and sharp. So instead of them being almost like that, it's become like that. So this is the new one and this is the old one. Now I'm going to put the old one back just to demonstrate how effective this repair is. So what you need to do is you need to push towards the outside there and then push in, otherwise you'll squash it against the cam gear. Right, I've put it back and I'm just going to show you the test of the solution. This one platform here has not had any modifications. That's how it was. And as you can see how this just climbs over the drive shaft. Even if I do put the new drive shaft in there, it still climbs over that drive shaft. Now when I go to the section that I built up, right, so there you can see that's the one I built up using the Q-bond method. And look, it is tight. It is not climbing over those splines, but also I have still got some free play here. Just a little bit of free play. I don't want it to be too high, otherwise it puts too much pressure on the cavity here. Now for the section that I did the plastic welding, it is now on the platform. Still got a little bit of free play there, as you can see, maybe a millimeter, but look at that. Can't move, can't climb over those teeth. So you'll just need to make sure that each one of these sections is raised. Either go by the part or raise it with the glue or the solder. I recommend the solder, and just make sure that it's raised by about a millimeter. You don't have to go too much, because if you put too much, it'll put too much pressure on this part over here. Remember, if you look closely inside there, right, so there you can see the solder section, but what I want to bring to attention is this thing can still move a little bit, and that's the most important thing. Don't make it so high that it actually puts too much pressure on this. You'll wear this out too much. Rather build it up too much. Maybe you go 1.5 mils or 2 mils and then just file it down, rather than building it up too little and then trying to patch it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to convert these all to the solder technique, and then I will then put this back and show it to you in the water. So I put the cam back, and now all I'm doing is I'm rotating this to make sure that the height there is not too much. As you can see, I've still got some free play there. So I'm just going to let this rotate one time and just see if there's always free play. Okay, I notice it gets a bit high there, and I can see that it's a bit tight. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark it so that I know that I must file that down a little bit there. As you can see, there's still free play on the next cam. Still free play here, so it's fine. Right, so now I'm just going to take it out for the last time. And while I'm doing this, I'm just filing it here just to make sure there's no burrs here. And I'm just going to file this a bit. Right, so that's the completed repair. And if you want to, you can change the drive shaft. Seeing as though I've got a new one, I'll just change it now. Please note that if you change the drive shaft and you don't do anything else, that is not going to solve the problem if you just change the drive shaft. Right, so just slide this pin now back in. I line it up. You can see it wants to come out the other side. Just before it wants to pop through, I now tighten the screw. Please note another fault of this is these wheels become quite loose and they wobble. I've done a repair on it. I'm not showing it in the video. It's very complicated. You can also buy the spares to stop the rims from moving excessively. There you can see it does not climb over the teeth anymore, and I still got a little bit of space there. I've checked all of them, and now I can put this back in the pool. Right, there you can see in the pool, I recorded this over the day. You can see the shadows of the pool will move because I'm just showing you at key times in the day. This has been working now for over a week, and I don't anticipate any problems. I do recommend doing the plastic welding option, but if you are going to be doing the gluing option, I'll just show you how. Just using super glue and Q-bond, make sure you buff the surface before you put the super glue, and then you're just going to build up that cam. It's quite important to spread this as evenly as possible. That's why you must have the glue on the surface from the edge to the other edge. Again, do not put too much. Right, so there you can see it's edge to edge. And now I'm going to put this filing here. Right, and now all I'm going to do is just take a file and just neaten it up. Now, I know I did spill there. It's not a problem. I just file away the glue that I've spilled there. There we go. And here. Now all I need to do is file these platforms and make sure they are level. Now, as you can see, if you look at this one, this is not very good because here it's one level and there it's much higher. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the file and I'm going to file like that until I'm getting an even level. Don't file like that because it won't last long. It'll wear down too easily. You want it to be flat on top here. Right, so I can see that's now even here. And you can actually see it's becoming flat. Alright, so there you can see doing a quality control, and overall this did solve my problem, but I prefer the plastic welding because the plastic welding will last longer. If you don't use very strong epoxies, they can come off the cam and then you'll be doing this repair again. Or alternatively, just go and get a new plastic gear. I hope this was helpful and thanks for watching and cheers.